So I think we'll wait, let's say 5 minutes for Mr. Neary to show up, and then we'll proceed at that point, if that works for everybody.
Commissioner Olson.
Mr. Callahan.
That big cloud that was in the picture behind you, I was just wondering if that lets loose.
Yeah, I had to turn off my fancy background because it said CPU usage is high for whatever reason, and that must be, it must be causing electrical disturbance in the silicon chips.
Make us dizzy?
Good.
Dizzier is what I'm thinking, Dan.
Now I'm in outer space.
I like it, actually.
I hope you're not up at tech partying with all those colors.
Oh, you betcha. And I got my mask off.
There you go.
Hello, Public Works Committee. I'm here.
Okay, Danette.
Good to see you, Director Neary.
Thank you. So are we looking for an update?
Well, I'm just calling the meeting to order. We were waiting to be here. I'm going to call the meeting to order of the Public Works Committee meeting, September 23rd, 2020. I'm present. Mr. Fisher is excused. Mr. Callahan, Mr. Bankins, Mr. McDonough, Mr. Frederickson are all present, and Mr. Neary is a guest presenter. And Michelle Shea is also sitting in on it. So it's called to order at 1837. Item number 1, communication number 2020-139, Brendan McDonough, Commissioner District 8, requesting council commissioners to consider that a speed study be conducted by the Montana Department of Transportation on Highway 2 from the 9 Mile to Pipestone Pass. With the upcoming recreational season approaching, I ask that a study and decision be made in a timely manner to address the safety concerns for the spring and summer seasons. Mr. McDonough, if you'd like to take it from here, you can give us an update on that, and Mr. Neary.
Thank you. Got my email from my contact, Ms. Hegland, who I put the communication forward for on behalf of her request. And I had a follow-up email last week that I forwarded to Director Neary, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Neary, but I think that we're just following along the process with MVP.
Okay. Mr.
Thank you, Chairman Olson. I did receive the email from Brendan or Commissioner McDonough, and the request has to come from Public Works. So it's on our agenda for our next monthly meeting with MDT. The one thing they want to do is lower the speed limit from the 9 Mile clear to the border of the Silver Bow County, which I think is on top of the pass or wherever it is, but I'm not exactly sure what they want as to lower the speed limit to. And I don't know if that's what we're going to try and get out of this study, or, you know, they didn't actually ask for a specific speed.
Yeah, based on the speed study that we did out on Creek Road, they basically did the speed study and then they determined the speed limit that was appropriate for that location and traffic. So I don't know that a recommendation to lower it or whatever would make any sense. It's kind of up to them from a highway safety point of view as to what it should be.
If I remember right, Basin Creek was 35 and we were asking to go to a 25. And I think this is a 65. And I mean, MDT's, which everybody has told, they're trying to move the traffic as fast and as safe as they can. But that's kind of a long area to drop the speed limit to be safe for the whole thing. My opinion. But I guess we can do the study and just see how it comes up. But I'm sure they're going to ask what speed limit we would like them to drop it to. And I guess I'm sure the bikers would like 25 or 15, but I really don't know what would be a good speed to ask for.
Mr. McDonough, do you have any feel for that? It seemed like 45 was brought up at one point, but.
Yeah, I would agree with Director Neary that, you know, 25 would be outrageous for that long of a stretch. But I think that we'll just wait to hear back and see what they stated MDT. I mean, I would think that it wouldn't be at the very most a 45 mile an hour speed limit. But again, I just put this forward in communication on behalf of cycling organizations, and there's been no identified speed request. I just want a speed reduction.
Further discussion on that?
So Commissioner Olson, this is Danette, and I didn't know, I'm speaking more of a resident in the area than I am in my position here as the Finance and Budget Director. So I didn't know if the phone line was open and you'd prefer that I call in the phone line, or can I speak now?
I'll let you speak. Are the phone lines open? The phone lines are open, but we have no calls.
Okay.
But
So,
please state your name and address for the record, though.
I will, because it's Gleason, 8735. My address is US Highway 10, but it's on Highway 2, before the junction at the 9 Mile. And to me, it doesn't make sense that we're not looking from the intersection from Harrison Avenue out to the 9 Mile in this same study, because the people right there where the residential turnoffs all are, and that's where our major construction area is right now in South Butte. And that speed limit is 65 miles an hour. I had a neighbor almost get killed 2 years ago on a vehicle coming up over the top of the hill, and he was actually going in opposite direction. The vehicle was heading north and he was going south, and it come over the line and just totally destroyed a big, huge diesel, Dodge diesel truck, and he's lucky he survived it. And so if we're going to look at studies and turn around and reduce the rate at the junction, I think we should start from Harrison Avenue out, because all the people are going to do, and they do it today right now, as soon as they make that corner, they step on it. And they're going 75, 80, 90 miles an hour down that highway where all our residential areas are currently. So I would request that you further request that the highway department extend their study.
Any further discussion on that?
I think if you're in agreement, we can just, all we do is put it on their agenda, and I can actually just add that from the junction at Harrison all the way.
We have at least 3 positives.
I actually had a question. Is it okay if I ask? Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Frederickson, the floor is yours.
So if we're going to do a study on Harrison and we're also going to do it Harding Way, shouldn't we just, because it's between Mount Highland Drive out to the highway, whatever highway that is that Danette lives on, isn't that also 65 or 60? So should we, there's a ton of houses out there too. I don't know.
It's all, that's where we're at, is on Highway 2 right there. And it's all 65. The other side of Continental is 60.
So it's 60 from Mount Highland?
Mount Highland is,
To the 9 Mile coming by the Kiwanis camp?
that's all 60.
That's 60.
Okay.
That's 60 on that side of the junction. When you go up the other side, it's 60. When you come our way, it's 65.
65.
Okay. I guess is 60 too fast for that stretch, or should we just not even go there?
I think it's that. It's just where all the construction, or where all our residential properties are moving either north or south, and it's pretty fast. It's scary. When I have to turn into my driveway coming off Highway 2, I cringe if there's any cars coming north, because even though I slow down, as much as I can way ahead, even a quarter of a mile ahead with my blinker on, they still come. It's scary.
Yeah. Even turning out when you're on the Continental Drive part,
Yes.
where it's 60, even that is scary if you're pulling in and out, I think.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mr. McKee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would agree with the next request, but I think if we add additional areas, then we should have possibly enough communication to address each area. Like it took this long just to get area identified from the 9 Mile intersection there up the Harding Way, but Ms. Gleason makes a great point that, if people are out on a road bike, they often go that route down South Harrison and that way. But if we extend them further, go east or further north, maybe we put in another communication at that point. I don't know. I think we should probably just see what our results are on this communication first and go from there.
Mr. Callahan.
I would suggest as long as we're gonna ask them to do it, just have them do the whole thing at one time rather than make them go back and do the other section down the road. Myself, I don't know, maybe somebody else can chime in. Thank you.
Mr. McDonough.
To clarify, I'm on board with requesting what was suggested by Ms. Gleason from the Harrison south all the way through Harding Way, having that study. But if we go further east and do Mount Highland Drive and Continental, I think that might be another one. I don't know, just procedurally, I guess, unless Mr. Nick has a different suggestion, because he'll be the one putting the signs out and it'll be coming out of his budget and he'll be dealing with it, I guess, if it comes to that.
Mr. Gleason. Excuse me.
Thank you, Chairman. We can put it all on there. I mean, and actually, MDT pays for the signs on those roads. So, but we can definitely do it. I mean, each one of them, there are issues with going that speed and trying to turn off, but it won't hurt to ask them to do the study.
Mr. Fredericks.
Thank you, Chairman. Does anyone, or do we have any idea when the last study was? I mean, I feel like the 60 and 65 mile an hour speed limit might have been before there was so many houses out there on both Continental and Highway 2. Because there's even in the last few years, there's so many houses out there.
5 years.
Jeanette's thinking that the Continental side was done within the last 5 years.
That's when it changed from the 65 to the 60.
It went from 65 to 60.
But I agree with Commissioner Frederickson. There's been significantly more construction on both sides since that study. They didn't study our side or the Highway 2 side.
Right.
Mr. McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Then if it's not a procedural problem, then I would agree that we should proceed with Commissioner Frederickson's request too. And just throw them all in there and see what they come back with, because everybody makes a legitimate claim that not only is it bike traffic, but I mean, just the residentials, driveways and things along the routes are probably just as big as an issue. So I'm fine with, I'll retract my earlier statement, and if everyone's fine with it, I would concur or jump on with Commissioner Frederickson's request and do them all together, same request.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to pass this on to Mr. Neary to pass on to MDOT. We'll see what they do with it. Now, we're talking about, to clarify this, we're talking about the original request from the 9 Mile to the border of Silver Bow County, which is actually over on the other side of the divide there. And then also from Harrison to the 9 Mile, or from Harrison on Highway 2 to the 9 Mile. And we're talking about Highland Drive or, okay. And I guess we'll see where MDT takes it. Does that sound reasonable to you, Mr. Neary?
Yes, I think they'll be, and they'll enlighten us if there was a study just done and they didn't think that it would be good to change it again, but we can put it on there.
So what I'll do is I'll just say that there was a motion to send the information on to MDT at their next meeting. When's that meeting at, Mr. Neary?
I think it's in 2 weeks. Let me check my schedule here quick. What's today?
23rd.
I don't have one scheduled, but. I would say it's within the next 2 weeks. I don't have it up on my schedule and I don't know why, but. You're muted.
You're muted.
Still muted.
Still muted. I can hear me. Sorry about that. So it'll be at the next MDT meeting, and I don't know that we need to do a formal motion and everything. We'll just pass it on to Mr. Neary and you can take it to MDT. That okay with everyone? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourned at 18:54.